5. Glad to see everyone. Great turnout. So I'll just go ahead and announce. Actually, I forgot. I need to tell everyone. We'll be doing Q&A afterwards. So if you have any questions throughout the event, just jot them down and you'll have a time to ask the speakers. But I'm going to introduce our first speaker, and that's Ofelia Ochoa.
My name is Ofelia. Why do I want to become a climate designer? So I love creativity, I love problem solving, and I love nature. I'm going to take this off so it's easier. And when I was in high school in Florida, I took a class that showed me the importance and the power of community, and that we're not all as helpless as we're led to believe. So the class that I took was called the Monday Group. And this class was essentially an environmental activist class led by 2 longtime eco-warriors, Ms. Meyer and Dr. O'Connor. And they were basically teaching the next generation how much of an impact we as kids were able to, or were capable of. So that's me at the Monday Group. It's the only picture I could find. I was president of the environmental club, worked with the environmental education department, and received my BA in environmental studies. And by the time I graduated, the environmental education department had dissolved, and I was also around the same time I had the opportunity to leave Florida, so I took it. And when I got to Oklahoma, knowing absolutely no one, I took a job as a teller, and I started teaching myself Adobe Illustrator and a little bit of coding. And I made myself a small portfolio, and a different bank actually hired me as their in-house graphic designer, and I've been doing it ever since. So while I love my work, there's always been this feeling in the pit of my stomach that I had somewhat betrayed myself. I've worked with a financial institution, a state agency, and a corporation, and while I'm grateful for the opportunities and learned so much from these places, I was a little bit dying inside. So I decided to change things up. I resigned from my comfy in-house job and took a job part-time and started dedicating most of my week to organizations that were either in the environmental sector or the social justice field. And I did it at a reasonably discounted prices or by bartering my services. So what is climate design or green graphic design? Oops, I went a bit too far. It has an evolving definition, but in short, it is designed with the goal of implementing a sustainable future. Think of sustainability as this 3-legged stool. Each leg representing something different. In this case, it represents the economy, the environment, and society. So making one of these legs longer than the other destabilizes the structure. The economy can't be more important than society, society can't be more important than the environment, and so on and so forth. So a sustainable future is one in which humanity is able to thrive without destabilizing the systems on which all life on Earth depends. This isn't about saving the planet necessarily. It's the planet has been through worse. It's about saving humanity and all of the things that have evolved on this planet with us. So our collective brains have unlearned how to repair, reuse, and repurpose because of the more is better mentality. The amount of consumption and waste is staggering. The planned obsolescence is the norm, and we as designers have had our hand in it. And we as designers have some power to make these changes. So a lot of what I'm about to tell you comes from a book called Green Graphic Design by Doughtery. There's lots of other books on this topic. I picked this one because it was kind of fun. In the book, Doughtery explains the role of the graphic designer as it pertains to this subject, and he uses an avocado as an example. There are many ways in which a designer can make an impact. The first is to be a manipulator of stuff. Think opting for recycled paper, requesting non-toxic inks, staying away from metallic inks, and the like. Secondly, is to be a message maker. Do this by helping communities or helping companies with their messaging in order to position themselves as leaders in the social and environmental issues. But let's please do our research on this part. We ask a lot of questions. We want to avoid any greenwashing. So third, be an agent of change. Shift your own actions and the actions of those who are touched by your work, meaning your clients and your audience. Be a force for positive change in this industry. Bonus tip, this one's not from Doughtery, this one's from me. This is really important to you, you need to talk about it. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your coworkers. Sign up for an AIGA presentation when you're terrified of public speaking, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Climate design is going to be difficult, more so than normal design, right? There's the learning curve, there's going against the grain and trying things that have never been done before by you or your organization, and there will be the possibility of you making some costly mistakes along the way. But what you have to remember is that sustainability will define our era. Now, I'm at the beginning of this particular journey. I've had my environmental background and my design background, but this one is a whole new one. Took me a while to get there. So I'm still learning a whole lot of this topic. Luckily, I found a community of designers that are eager and willing to help me out to figure this all out. They're called the Climate Designers. They're a group based in California, and they have chapters all across the US and overseas as well. But they are helping bring together like-minded designers that want to do this very important work. And kind of my support system. So what motivates me to do this kind of work, aside from the obvious of reducing the use of resources and helping mankind, is the knowledge that we don't have to keep doing things the way we've been doing them, right? There are other ways to do business. Technology has advanced enough that we don't need big oil for every single little thing. I know that cost is usually a big hurdle for people, but if designers start working this into their ethos and design schools start teaching it in the curriculum, this will become cost-effective for all. The role I would like to play with this new creative industry is friend. I would like to be a friend that gently introduces you to climate design and is empathetic and won't shame you for doing your best with the information that you had. The information that we've been working with has been very linear. You start with some research, some ideation, you refine it, and then it gets printed, right? It gets binded, moved to a warehouse, delivered to a person, used by that person, and then thrown in the trash. And in the best case scenario, it gets recycled. So we need to start thinking about it in systems. When determining project goals, think of how it will have an impact, not just for your end user, but across the board. Map out your design problems and brainstorm possible design outcomes and solutions for each step. So we designers should aim to choose vendors located close to one another and near distribution centers, and that use renewable energies, and that have trusted social and environmental certifications. These places exist, I promise. And use post-consumer waste materials. As part of the decision-making process, we have to ensure that we are reducing our material usage, and that's such a crucial step in this process. So systems thinking is not just about isolating and exploring an element of a system. Instead, it's about understanding how the elements in a project are interconnected and why. So aside from making decisions on materials, designers can help organizations that don't have access to us. We don't come cheap, right? So currently, many climate positive organizations lack strong branding and visual communications, and designers can use their skills, use their superpowers to help make these organizations stand out as credible, professional, and powerful. Much of climate change communication is very technical and difficult to grasp, and focused on negative outcomes. Scaring people by focusing on disaster leaves them paralyzed and demotivated. By telling stories about a positive future, we can build by implementing climate solutions. Designers can inspire people to work towards positive change. Climate and sustainability is rapidly shifting. It's a high-stakes field with many stakeholders. Some would argue all the stakeholders. Designers can help positive companies and organizations identify opportunities to make a positive impact. Now, I would say that this is just the tip of the iceberg, but they're all melting. So I'll just say that, that there's so much to learn on this topic. And the QR code on the screen is a link to a page with resources to help you continue this journey. It's a growing page, so I will continue to add stuff to it. And if you have suggestions for resources, there is a suggestion box in there, so you can add, and I'll add it on there for everybody so we can all share it. So my name is Ofelia, your friendly neighborhood climate designer, and that's all I got.